I might need a new punching bag. Oh, hey, I was just practicing for the Super Smash Bros. Tournament coming out this December. Man, I'm tired though. Oh no! Hey Luigi, just wanted to tell you that your toilet's clogged. Why are we screaming? I don't know. Okay, just calm down and tell me what's the problem. I was just getting a drink and that game was right there. Huh. Aliens, Colonial Marines. Heard this game was pretty bad. I heard that too. Get out of the way! Well, we should still give this game a shot and see what it's like. Oh no, I'm not playing that game. You're on your own there. Okay, I have an idea. I'll play the game. You can sit next to me and review it after I'm done with it, okay? Okay. Alright, cool. So, Luigi, you ever watch the Alien movies? Well, I have seen a few of them, but I really didn't like them too much because they were so spooky. Right, you're easily frightened. I personally like how much action they have in the movie and still keep that horror element. Hopefully this game does the same thing. That's understandable, but I don't like them anyway. Alright, I'm gonna go get this thing set up. You could do the backstory while I'm working on this. Fine. Tell me what to do in my own house. I don't care. Don't care at all. No. Here is the backstory for Aliens Colonial Marines. The creation for Aliens Colonial Marines is a bit of an odd one. The game was originally supposed to come out back in 2008, but unfortunately hit a couple of roadblocks and almost got cancelled. The game would not be heard from again until 2011, where development started up again. The game would be developed by a company named Gearbox Software, and published by... Sega. You might know Gearbox as the company who made Borderlands and Borderlands 2. The goal of this game was to make a direct sequel to James Cameron's Aliens. The game was eventually released on February 12, 2013. But, to the fans and Gearbox's surprise, the game was considered terrible. Criticism being focused on everything about the game. So let's find out why. Despite that there might not be a lot of things I like about this game, I'm still going to look for something I like anyway. For the sake of this game, I'm only going to be reviewing the gameplay, the story, and other miscellaneous features. So once again, there will be... Ooh, wait. I want to say there's spoilers. I've always wanted to do this. Okay, you go ahead and tell them. Yes! Okay, there will be spoilers in this video, so leave now if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay. You ready to play Aliens Colonial Marines? Oh, I'm ready. This ought to be fun. Let's get started. I'm at a loss for words. I just knew this game was going to be bad. My plumber instincts told me so. We've barely touched the game and I can already tell this is going to be a disappointment. Are you meaning to tell me this is the best they could do? This is the closest we're getting to James Cameron's Aliens? I'm sorry, but this game is just so terrible to look at that I'm actually quite disappointed this is supposed to be the direct sequel to Aliens. Okay. Let me talk about the gameplay, just to give you an idea of what this game is supposed to be about. The game is a first-person shooter, where the main goal is to follow objectives through the levels all the while killing aliens. You shoot enemies with a variety of weapons that are often seen around the film, with the addition of some newer ones that they put in. This sounds like a very typical first-person shooter. Oh wait, I forgot the most important detail. About 60% of the game is you shooting human enemies. I'm not an editing expert, but something tells me if they had titled their game as this, then most people would not be as mad as they are right now. It's as if Gearbox Software had watched the Alien films and understood how the universe worked, but then turned the series on its head just so they could appeal to modern FPS gamers. Now if you want to put human enemies in a game about aliens, that's fine, but make sure you put them in the appropriate place. Don't make them hog up the entire game. Okay, I'm done ranting. Let me get back on track to the gameplay. As I said earlier, you go through the game with a variety of weapons shooting aliens and humans alike. You keep on doing this until you get to the end of the level. And that's about it. There are a few other interesting details that they put in to keep the alien feel, at least. You can weld open doors that are blocking your path, or customize your weapons before each mission to match the scenario. And I have to agree that the customization, whereas is a little lacking, is very nice. It helps bring a change of pace. But even that can't stop the game's most horrendous feature, which is both the friendly and enemy AI.
The AI doesn't even exist in this game, dude. Aliens are walking right toward us.
What the he said. Most aliens in this game will charge you without even trying to hide their location, minus the ones that make a lot of sense. And the human enemies are no better, as they constantly try to close in the gap with you to the point where they'll go face to face with you just to get a shot in. But the worst AI in this game has to come from your own teammates. I understand in a game like this that you're mainly the one who's supposed to be taking out a lot of the enemies, but if your own teammates cannot even shoot anything 2 feet in front of them, then what's the point of even having a teammate? It's like the only fun you'll have in this game is if you're doing the co-op mode, which is okay to say the least. Combine this with the fact that they always get in the way of your line of fire, and the fact that they have personalities as interesting as cardboard, and you get some very bad teammates. I'm not kidding. Listen to this conversation and tell me what their personalities are.
Are you sure you're okay?
It was already dead, O'Neill. I'm fine. I pulled it off when I woke up, so nothing's gonna happen to me. It's just good to see some familiar faces.
Likewise. The Sephora's under attack, and we're on our way down to shut down the weapon system. You sure you're okay?
O'Neill, I'm fine. Quit being such a little bitch. Let's get moving.
But that is pretty much what the gameplay is all about. So let's go check out the story. No, I don't like the alien films because they're kinda scary to me, but is there anything good about the story in this one?
Whoa, wait, hold on. I'm a big fan of shooters. But the one thing you have to remember is that 95% of shooters aren't going to have a good story. And unfortunately, this game's story falls into that category.
Oh, right. So here's the story in a nutshell. After answering a distress signal and fighting off a lot of aliens and human enemies, the US Marines ship crashes onto the planet. Thank you, Hicks. And then you basically spend the majority of your time trying to find your way off of the planet and following some very boring subplots. One of them being the stress from one of your teammates who has a chest burster going to come out of her chest in approximately a day, but there's really no way you can save her and you're supposed to feel bad for her, but she's got no personality, so... And the other half of the story is you investigating Weyland-Yutani, aka the human enemies you were shooting throughout the game, and understanding their evil ways and why they're trying to harness aliens. Don't I know that's never a good idea? Combine this with the game's terrible gameplay and its very anticlimactic final boss fight, and you have a very dull story. But that's just my opinions. What do you think? Do you think it's a good story?
No. The story in this game is awful. It makes The Room look like an Oscar winner.
Ouch, that's a little harsh. This brings me to the final part, the game's miscellaneous features.
So, despite all we've seen so far, is there anything you like about the game? Well, the atmosphere in the game looks really nice. At least I actually feel like I'm in an Aliens movie. True. The sound effects from everything in the game actually sound like it came from the movie as well, especially in the guns. What about those collectibles though? The dog tags are pretty generic and the audio logs as well, but dude, I've never been so attentive for finding legendary weapons in my life.
Like he said, the legendary weapons are collectibles you can find throughout the game. Weapons that were used by some of the characters in the original Aliens movie. Most of them are not too different from other weapons except in the terms of cosmetics, but they are insanely fun to use. And probably one of the most incredible moments in the game is when you get to take control of a smart gun. You have to be conservative with the ammo on it, but it's just so cool to use, though I question why we don't get to use it more often. And finally, in terms of this game being a first-person shooter, there is a multiplayer mode. It's okay to say the least. Customize your Marines' appearance and their loadout, as well as controlling and customizing the xenomorphs if you want. Overall, there are some interesting things they do to try to keep the game alive, but ultimately it falls a little bit short.
I cannot play this anymore. I can't. I need to go lie down. I'll be right back, okay? Okay?
Well, the game was so bad that he ended up leaving. But that's okay, because this game was pretty terrible. How terrible? Let's find out. So what can I say? Aliens Colonial Marines is a pretty disappointing game. It is so overwhelming how a game with the Aliens license turns out to be as bad as this one. It kinda proves that just because you have the license to the game doesn't mean that you're automatically going to make something good. You know, I'm gonna do something different. There were so many things that I disliked about watching this game that I'm actually going to start with the bad things about it first. Let's start with the obvious. The AI for this game is horrible. It's horrible for both the enemies and your own. Aliens will usually walk right toward you when they attack you, instead of using their advantages like on the ceiling or the walls. And the Marines are not much better. They often get in the way of your shots and don't hit anything. They often charge ahead first into battle without ever thinking. And there's also little irritating parts, like the Wayland mercenaries attacking you instead of the aliens that are 1 foot away from them. Another thing is the character development. Under no circumstances did I find myself ever attached to any of these characters. They all seem pretty generic to me. Some tough Marine ready to charge headfirst into battle. Except a couple of them were men and a couple of them were women, but it really did not change much. You might as well have made them robots, because I couldn't find myself liking any of them. No offense to Bishop, of course. You know, it's so funny, I'm actually going to ignore Bishop this time because he's already boring. There was also a lot of technical issues that ruined the game as well. If you were playing co-op, you would teleport to your friends, specifically when you don't want to. I guess it's to make sure you don't get separated from your group, so if you were going to be looking for something and somebody accidentally wandered ahead, you would appear right in front of them, despite the fact that you probably were looking for something. Not to mention there was a couple of glitches and bugs that actually had you to restart a checkpoint. This is probably a personal irk, but I can't ignore it. Why is it that the smart gun uses are so short? Looking back at it, I think you only get to use the smart gun for approximately 10 to 20 minutes, depending on whether you can use your ammo wisely. I'm all for smart guns having ammo, I'm not complaining about that. It would be unfair if those things had unlimited ammo. But it just doesn't seem right to me to have the most iconic weapon in the Alien series and do very little with it. Same thing can be for the flamethrowers. This is also kind of a personal issue. But why are we fighting human enemies in a game about aliens? I want you to take a look at something. What is the title of this game? What is it? On what portion on this cover does it tell you that you're fighting human enemies? I could understand fighting human enemies in this game, but they have to be rare. You can't just be throwing them out every other mission just because you can't put any reference to aliens in them. And finally, its difficulty. This game has approximately 4 difficulty, ranging from the easiest being Recruit difficulty to the hardest difficulty in the game, Ultimate Badass mode. The problem I have with it though is that it didn't really matter. Difficulty wasn't really spiked up or lowered depending on it. It all felt somewhat the same. I think the main difference between all the difficulties in the game is you take more damage on higher difficulty. And the difficulty doesn't really increase the length of the game as well. You could probably beat the single player on Recruit or Soldier difficulty at approximately 6 or 7 hours. On Ultimate Badass mode, maybe 8 hours. But, shockingly, there's actually a few good things about this game. I'll start off by saying that the atmosphere in this game is top-notch. It actually feels like you are in an Aliens movie. Another thing I could say is good is the level design. You actually spend quite a long time actually going through the level. By the time you complete the level, you'll realize that you spent the last 20 to 30 minutes on it. And that's saying something. Weapon customization is quite customizable, and it's actually pretty nice. There aren't a lot of attachments for the weapons, but it definitely makes you feel like you're trying out something new every time you go into a mission. And finally, as bad as the single player was, even with co-op, and believe me when I say that the co-op itself looked very fun, the one redeeming feature to this game is, surprisingly, the multiplayer. Now take it from me, I'm not the kind of person who likes multiplayer over single player. Because I'm a Luigi, what kind of multiplayer games do I get? Besides Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and... There are only 4 multiplayer modes, but they all feel different in their own way. The customization you can do in multiplayer to your Marines and Xenomorphs is really well done. It unfortunately doesn't save the game, but it definitely brings a nice little spark to it. But now, the score. Despite the fact that there are some redeeming features, the bad obviously outweigh the good. I can see somewhere down the line that this game was trying really hard to be a really good Aliens game, but fell apart somewhere along production. The more I think about it, the more upset I'm going to get. So here's where we stand. Aliens Colonial Marines gets a 3 out of 10. Under no circumstances should you get this game unless there's absolutely nothing for you to play. If you still want to see how bad the single-player campaign is, I strongly recommend you get a friend and play co-op. Granted, it doesn't save the game, but at least you guys get to suffer together. But overall, you'll just fall victim to the horrible characterization, the horrible story, the horrible execution for the game, and its limited but somewhat fun multiplayer. Once again, I'm not going to call this game a mistake, more like a disappointment. Okay, now that that is done, I'm going to tell you the next 3 games for you guys to vote. Boy, I'm tired. I haven't slept since we started playing the game. Is it that late? Huh. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you guys in the morning because I'm really tired right now and I really need to sleep. So, I'll see you in the morning. Is it morning already?
Hey, Luigi. I think I passed out on your couch last night after playing the game. Sorry.
That's okay. We were both pretty tired from playing it last night anyway.
Yeah, sorry for wasting your time with that. I'm just gonna head home and... Hey, what's that?
Hmm? Oh my god.